Welcome to Global Information Security Society for Professionals of Pakistan.
Please go ahead.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Thank you very much, Shahzad Saab, for arranging all this session. This digital transformation has been with me for the last about 15 years or so in my professional life. And it is actually very close to my heart as well. I'm passionate about it. Actually, when I joined PTCL, PTCL was about to actually start a very massive transformation from being a government-owned entity to a private entity. That was the time when Etisalat of UAE took over, and they were having administrative control on that. And there were a lot of activities with regards to that transformation, which was about to be started. And one of them was actually related to the people. It was a very heavy organization as far as people were concerned. Usually the government organizations in Pakistan are actually very heavy on resources. So at that time, there were 65,000 employees in PTCL. And there was a huge kind of golden handshake type of, which they called VSS, Voluntary Separation Scheme. They launched it. And at that time, there were a lot of reorgs were going on. A lot of new systems were being introduced. A lot of automation and digitalization was going on, and so on and so forth. And also, at that time, PTCL decided to move on from a CSP, communication service provider, to a digital service provider, and moving on from voice to broadband, and from broadband onwards to TV services provider, and many other services as well, which fall in the digital domain. So that was very exciting time, and I went through many transformations, many things in that, and that I carried, and I came here in Saudi Arabia, and I joined ITC, Integrated Telecom company, and the same thing was happening. In fact, in telcos, it is the routine life that transformation happens. Now, why I suggested and this topic to you was, Shahzad Saab, to you was that because there is a lot of hype around these terminologies like digital transformation. We use it quite often, but what I have seen that there is lack of understanding among the people about these technologies. So the objective of today's session is actually to highlight these terminologies, as well as various other aspects of digital transformation. So we'll go through what digital is, and what transformation is, what are the characteristics of transformation, what are different stages, how to develop the transformation strategy, how organizations actually should look at digital transformation. I'll take the example of telco because I have a telco background, but more or less the philosophy is the same in various organizations. And we'll also look at, from telco point of view, that why digital transformation is necessary. And then we will conclude with a business excellence framework and a risk management aspect of the transformation. during my experience with 5 major transmission in last 15 years or so, I gathered much experience and much of the knowledge, and I converted that into these frameworks. So we'll conclude with that. First of all, what digital is. In my view, digital can be described with these words: social, mobile, analytics, cloud, and IoT. SMACT. About 3 years back, it was only SMAC, and now with the growing need of IoT technologies, this also becomes part of the digital. As you all know that we like social these days. Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter. There are many platforms which are there for the social needs. But this social now has become part of our professional lives. As we use WhatsApp quite often for official communication. We use Jammer type of services, which are collaboration, which are close to the usual social media kind of services. Then the second thing which has gained popularity in last about 10 years or so is mobile. So we have a lot of mobile applications which we use, and the same mobile applications give us an opportunity to actually keep doing our tasks when we are out of the office. So this is one of other aspects which is there. Then analytics, big data, and all these things have become part of our lives. We in our professional lives, we use many analytics platforms, and not only in the professional lives, but also, you know, if you talk about the healthcare and all these kind of things, there are many platforms which are being developed based on the analytics, which help people in actually solving their health issues. And the fourth thing is the cloud. Cloud means that you are moving out from the on-premises to the cloud. So this is also one of the important aspects in the digital. Then comes the IoT. IoT, you know, the growing popularity of this technology in almost all walks of life has kind of taken. शहजाद साहब, ये जो बीच में जो स्क्रीन्स आ रही हैं, ये मुझे आपकी ना जो ये आप अपने पास रख सकते हैं? कुछ चीजें पॉपअप हो रही हैं लाइक
ये अपने आप आएगा, इसमें आप इग्नोर कर दें, मैं देख लेता हूँ.
अच्छा चलो ठीक है, ओके. So then IoT is one of the important aspects in the digital, and I have added this platform into this very recently because everywhere we are using platforms. All these social capabilities related applications are platform based. Similarly, mobile applications are available on the platforms like App Store, like Google Play Store. Similarly, there are analytics platforms which are available like Dr. Watson and all that. So there are cloud platforms, there are IoT platforms. So platform has now become part and parcel of the digital. So using any of these, any one of these or more of these means you are digital. So this in the nutshell, I would say that what digital is. So if somebody needs to understand that what could be digital, so these are the aspects which has to be there in order to say something as digital. Now, with regards to digital, there are some other terminologies which we use quite often. digitization, digitalization, and digital transformation. These are kind of relating, but are different concepts. These are complementing each other actually. What digitization is, if say in a bank you have a KYC form and that is paper based, and if you want to convert this manual, this paper based information into electronic form, that is called digitization. Digitalization is about the automation of the processes. If say you have a manual process and you want to automate it, it is digitalization. And digital transformation is the next step. Digital transformation is about automating the processes. It is about converting your manual data into electronic form. It is also about the transformation in your business, your people, your organization, your processes. So it is much more than that. It may contain many digitizations, it may contain many digitalizations, and it may contain many other things which I will be explaining further in the coming slides. Now, transformation, what transformation is actually? Transformation is a change. When we say change, that means the people would ask that if it is a change, then why we are calling it transformation? We should call it a change. But it is much more than a normal change. It is about modifying something altogether, giving it an entirely new look and feel and the way it behaves. And it is something about the future vision, the new vision, which is not there at the moment, which doesn't exist at the moment in the current environment. So this is what would be called a transformation. Transformation would be much more than a normal change. Now, let me explain a little further that if, say, you have a store like Panda or anything, you will add a shelf, that is a change. If you will add a new branch in the bank, that is a change. Adding an additional resource into the contact center as far as agents are concerned, or at front offices where you have additional load, it is a change. It's not a transformation. Similarly, if you increase your broadband speed from 5 to 10, it would be a change. It is not a transformation. A change request in the existing application, if you talk about the information technology, it is a normal change. It is not the transformation. Now, let me come to the transformation that it is about, as I already mentioned, that it is about achieving a new vision. And it is conceived and planned for achieving that vision. While planning is being done, this future vision doesn't exist in reality at the moment. And it would be created, developed, and delivered in future. And it has to be radical. Like I gave the examples of the normal change, and a change request in existing application is not radical. It's not disruptive. So transformation has to be radical and disruptive. For example, if a business is completely offline and you are going online, it is a transformation. If, say, you have brought a very new philosophy in your customer experience management, and the whole process, the whole dynamics of the customer experience management is being changed, it would be called a transformation. If, say, I gave the example of the store, if you change the whole look and feel and you rearrange all the shelves, you place the different items in a very different manner, which is very close to kind of customer experience, that would be a transformation. And another thing which is important is to understand is that if say there are a lot of chain of stores and you will do it in one store and you will replicate and you will keep on replicating until you have done it for the whole stores. So that would be a transformation. Similarly, if you convert from the DSL technology to the fiber-based, that would also be a transformation. Moving from 4G to 5G, because it is completely bringing the new technology along with the new processes, along with the new skill set in the people. So that would also be a transformation. Similarly, if your company, if you are a telco, and if you have decided to move on from CSP to DSP, that would also be a transformation. So these are different examples. I think now the concept should be clear. Now moving on towards the characteristics in order to further understand the transformation. What I see transformation, I see it as a jigsaw puzzle. There are many different pieces which has to be put together in order to succeed. And you know how jigsaw puzzle is built, and it's not easy. So the point is that there are different segments of the transformation. It's not one segment. It's not the normal change. You are going through a disruptive, radical change. So it has to be taken care of properly. Now, the characteristics of the transformation are parallel, incremental, and ongoing. You create the repeatable patterns to replicate the success. For example, I just gave the example of the store. Once you do the complete transformation in one store, you move on towards the next store. If say you have implemented a transformation in one branch of the bank, you will then move on to the other branches to complete this. So it moves on from one phase to the next phase, from one department to the next department, from one operating company to another operating company, if it is a big group, from one process to the next process, from one system to another system, from one innovation to the next innovation. So these are the characteristics of innovation. And usually, if you have a large scope, if you are a large organization, most of the transformations would be phase-wise rather than a big bang. So I would say that, for example, if it is a large bank, say 100 branches, it would not be possible to do the transformation in one go. Similarly, if there is a big chain of stores like Panda or others, so it has to be phase-wise. So you go one by one, you learn your lessons, and you replicate those success which you have achieved in the previous with the lesson learned, and you keep on improving. Now, moving on towards the steps and the steps and the stages in the transformation. In my view, these are four: strategy, planning, execution, and continuous loop cycle. Now, strategy is about the vision. As we just discussed, that it is about the new vision, new story for the future which has been created. It is the picture of the future which you create. For example, if you have decided that you will altogether transform your customer experience management, so it could be one statement: customer experience management enhancement. So this could be the vision of that transformation. The next step in the transformation would be to identify the goals. Then identifying the objectives, initiatives, and deliverables, which has to be SMART. You know all what SMART means: specific, measurable, attainable, and time bound. Roadmaps and budgets has to be defined. Roadmaps has to be defined, and budget has to be attained during the planning phase. In the execution phase, we will perform various activities as per the objectives. And you will practice the strong governance during the execution phase. You will measure and monitor the progress. And then in the final stage, the continuous loop cycle, once you complete one cycle, one phase, one department, one process, then you will look back. You will see what has happened, what you have achieved. You will update your goals. Maybe the business scenarios has changed during the course of, say, 6 months, 1 year of first phase. You update your goals, you update your objectives, and you include your lesson learned, and you move on towards the next stage. Now, a little bit understanding of the difference between the goals and objective. A goal is a brief, clear statement of an outcome to be reached within a time frame. It is tangible and it is descriptive. Whereas objective is SMART, specific, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time-bound. An objective must be obtained in order to accomplish a particular goal. For example, you have a goal, and for one goal, you may have one objective, or you may have several objectives which would be defined in order to achieve that goal. I'll give you a few examples so that we are able to understand the difference between the goals and objectives. Say, for example, we have a vision to improve customer experience. And in order to do that, we have defined some goals. For example, to improve net promoter score by 10 in next 1 year. To replace 50% of urban DSL broadband with fiber with regards to telcos, to replace 10% of rural DSL broadband with fiber, to partner with OTT providers to launch 5 new digital services, for example. Now, if we move on from the first goal, which was regarding the customer experience, we can further define the objectives, like, for example, to launch 5 loyalty campaigns in next 1 year, to reduce service delivery time from 2 days to 1 day, maybe bringing it within 24 hours in next 1 year, to increase the first call resolution by 20% in next 6 months and by 35% in next 1 year. So I hope with this, now we are able to understand the goals and objectives and how to define these. Now, within the process of transmission strategy and roadmaps development, there has to be certain steps and which has to be taken. Now, always a strategy exercise, it will start with some inputs. You will take the strategic business priorities. You will see the trends in that particular domain. What are the trends which are happening? What are the issues and challenges of the market? If there is any previous strategy, transmission strategy, which has been built, you will take that. You will take its shortcomings and what were the lessons learned. You will take the opportunities which exist in the market if you want to grow your business. So all these kind of information you will gather. These would be the inputs. The next step in the process would be to, as we discussed just now, that you will define the goals and objectives. Now, once you define the goals and objectives, there has to be needed capabilities in order to deliver these goals and objectives. So you need to identify, you need to list down against each goal and objective that what are the needed capabilities. Does these capabilities exist in the organization? For example, there could be a new product which is to be launched. And for that, there has to be a new delivery mechanism. Processes might have to be changed. You may require the human resource with new skill set. So all these capabilities, then you will list down what is needed, what you have, and then you will do a gap analysis. You will identify which capabilities are missing, and then you will try to build those capabilities within your organization through different initiatives which you will take and which you will define in your roadmap. And in the next step, you will go for the budgets and the resources. If you are able to seek the budgets and resources, fine, fair enough, you can move forward with your roadmap. But if, say, there are, if, say, as we take the example of, say, a bank or maybe a store in which the shelves has to be transformed with a new look, with a new arrangement. Say, if you don't have the money to do it in next 1 year, then you will have to extend that roadmap to maybe 2 years or 3 years, depending upon the resources and depending upon the budget. So it should not be compromised, because if you commit something for which the resources are not available, capabilities are not available, budgets are not available, then it is bound to go into the failure. Now, once we have finished this, now I'll take example of a telco, because I have a telco background, and but the process overall would be the same. Like you will see what market demands are, what is happening in the market. For example, in telcos, they want to do the digital transformation. What they want to achieve, they want to deploy their products and they want to improve their delivery. This I took from telecoms.com survey, 33% by 33%. They want to improve their operational efficiency by 25%. They want to improve by organizational agility 20%, reduce network cost 10%, overall cost savings 8%. OTT is now an old thing. Now telcos have learned to live with the OTT. It is no more a threat. So 3% of the survey people said that it is needed. Now, what are the products and services they want to launch along with these capabilities which are needed? Enterprise IoT, smart homes, consumer IoT, TV, video, connected car, gaming, banking. A lot of telcos are getting into the banking. In Pakistan, we have a lot of example in Kenya, here, in Saudi Arabia, and all over the world. Similarly, video calling, music, instant messaging, and these are the digital products and services they want to launch. Now, what is required in order to launch these services in a faster time to market with less cost, with an agile organization? You need to transform actually. So organization has to be transformed, and in telcos, it would be in 3 different domains. One, I've called it enablement. The other is network. And the third one is bringing new revenue streams. Enablement is about information technology, in which you will digitalize your process, you will do the BPR, you will ready your systems for the network virtualization and the changes which are happening in the network. And you will also enable your information technology to be able to launch the new revenue streams, which are IoT, machine to machine, connected cars, and cloud, and software as a service. These are all different services which telcos has to either launch themselves, or they will have to partner with a lot of different stakeholders through which they can launch these services. So it's a mixed kind of approach. Some of these services they are launching by themselves. For example, in IoT, mostly the trend is to have a platform which will actually give an opportunity for the IoT service providers and the consumers of IoT like electricity companies. So they will play a role which is intermediary between different service providers, and at the end of the day, the consumer would get the benefit. So you know how complex all this scenario looks, and it has to be taken care of in a very methodical manner, in a very systematic approach. Like I said previously, that to me it's like a jigsaw puzzle, and you will have to set all these different pieces together in order to succeed. So telcos would like, they actually have been labeled previously that they are not agile, they take their time to launch new services. Now they want to change this. So they have to be flexible, they have to be efficient to launch these new services very quickly, because people now demand these in a very quick time. So they will have to be agile and flexible. Now, there are two aspects in this digital transformation. Sorry. One is the technological aspect, and the other is the cultural and change management aspect. Technological aspect is about the technology like cloud, like the 4G, 5G, and fiber-based broadband. All these are the technological aspects. So in this, probably you can have the new technology vendor, and you will bring that, but it is much more than that. When you bring a new technology, you will be requiring a cultural change in your organization. There has to be a complete organization change management which has to be taken care of, and it is much more complex and political and difficult to handle than the technological change. So all these things has to be taken together and well thought out and systematic, in a systematic approach. Now, before I move forward, let's have a look at the best practices which are to be taken care of, and which I have learned over the years with all the success and the failures which I've seen in my life in the transformation and the turnaround I was able to do. So with that learning experience, I've listed down these best practices. Now, first of all, the definition of the success in the transformation is very important. And as we have seen in the earlier part of the presentation, that it is disruptive. Transformation is always disruptive. It will change the way you live, the way you breathe, and the way you behave. So it has to be radical. It has to be disruptive. So first of all, defining success. What you will achieve, that you will say, okay, now this transformation is successful. So the definition, the right definition, picking up from the vision, picking up from the goals and objectives, defining the success is one of the most important things. Then you have to see before the start what is at stake if you don't do it. Now, say for example, for a business, there is a lot of competition happening in the market. There are new players which are coming, and there are many banks, for example. There are many superstore chains which are getting popular. So your business is at stake at this point in time. If you don't bring change, transformation in your business, then you probably will not be there anymore in the market. Your bottom line, your top line, all those would be affected with the passage of time, and you may be out of the business after a few years. Like it happened with many companies. You see, there are many examples. The the big companies of the past, you can see have nose dived, or some has gone out of business. So you have to see what is at stake if you don't do this transformation, if you don't take this initiative. The next step is that you look back once. Looking back once means that in your organization, there are a lot of assets. There are a lot of people who are talented, who have skills, and who have those capabilities which are required in order to move forward. So you will have to gather those useful assets, whether these are human or process or any other thing, which you will have to carry forward. And then you will never look back. Never look back means that you will not see what was behind me. So you will always look for your future vision, which you have carved. You will look for that success which you have defined. You will look for those goals and objectives which you have defined. Another thing which is important in the digital transformation is fail fast, experiment, and carry on with what works. So if something is not working, immediately get rid of that, but not with regards to the vision. Vision has to be the same. It has to be defined after a well thought out process. So no experiments with the vision, but you can experiment with the way you are trying to deliver that vision, those goals, those objectives. Similarly, you will have to constantly innovate, take an agile and iterative approach. So these are the best practices. Similarly, you will have to take the calculated risks during your journey. Now, let's have a look at a few failure reasons as well. If you have not defined your vision correctly, you have not crafted it well, you have not built that story which is required by the company, and it is driven by the business needs. It's not somebody's wish. This vision has to be driven by the business needs. If, say, there is a need to enhance the customer experience, your vision should be according to that. If there is a need to upgrade, say, from 4G to 5G, it has to be driven by the business, that what it will bring for the company. So the vision is the first thing which has to be taken care of. If you are not doing it right, that means that you are bound to fail for a failure. Even if you have crafted a very nice vision, but that would be of no use. Similarly, moving forward, you will have to set the realistic expectations. If your expectations are not realistic, that means your project, your program, transformation program is bound for a failure. And then you will have to balance the act between the budget available and the objectives you are going to achieve. If there is something which you see is not balanced, if you see your objectives cannot be met with a project, with a budget and the resources which you have, that means you will have to raise a red flag. You will have to maybe divide those objectives into maybe a longer time period, or maybe you can go back and ask for more budget or things like this. Then another thing which is very important is the stakeholders management, in which top management commitment is one of the most important things. If they are not fully on board, and if they are not fully on board, that means you have missed the first important component of your success. As we started with the vision, and vision is the story. story of the future. It has to be compelling. Mostly, if you are unable to get the management commitment, that means your story is not compelling and they have not understood and you have not been able to convey it properly. And similarly, once you have the top management commitment, then all other stakeholders uh, go back to the example of the jigsaw puzzle. There would be some small pieces, some big pieces. So all these are different pieces of that jigsaw puzzle that small stakeholders, big stakeholders, top management, all these has to be taken care of properly. And you have to have a strategy in place for the change management, which is going to happen in your organization. Sometimes it happens. And what I have seen is in the beginning, when you are starting a transmission, everybody is very excited. So they will come, they will say, oh, we want to have this, we want to do this. But once it comes to delivery, all the stakeholders have to chip in. There has to be complete roles and responsibilities, metrics which is to be defined and which has to be reminded over and over again. So in that case, the going back and forth again and telling them and reiterating and replicating the initial success. Say, for example, if you have divided your transmission into phases, if say you have done transmission in one branch successfully, it was in the beginning, you were all excited, you did it, but you did not replicate the same success in the upcoming phases. In a telco, for example, if you did transmission of your broadband from DSL to fiber-based in one city or one district of a city, and you are unable to do it properly in the other cities, you are unable to build the capabilities over there, the team over there, the skill set over there, then it would be bound to failure. Never take technology first. Technology, if you take technology first, if you choose a technology and then you say it will be implemented, no, it will never happen. So it has to be taken as a holistic picture that even if you are implementing a technological transformation, like for example, 4G to 5G, there has to be a complete end-to-end organization change management, cultural aspects, skill sets, and other delivery capabilities, which has to be built along the way. So all different departments, all different stakeholders has to participate in that. Similarly, there are a few other things as well, like picking up the right people. People, people, process, technology. These are the three pillars of the transmission, which are said always. And if you are unable to pick the right people who are your horses and who would deliver for you, you probably will not end up with the success. So the team building, selecting the right people from your own team, the existing team, or hiring new ones, and see who would be in the middle, who would be the laggards, and how to deal with them. All these political aspects has to be taken care of. Then the governance aspects are often kind of lacking in transmission programs. As I said, that in excitement we start it. We don't look at the whole picture. So we don't look at the governance to be put in place. So there has to be right tracking of the progress. There has to be a proper project management and program management features. There has to be a proper performance management. And then last but not least, the incentives and compensations. These are also very, very important. You will have to kind of see that, the people are given the right kind of incentives. And incentives could be in any form. It could be an appreciation. It could be a certificate. It could be maybe at the end of the year a recognition letter from the CEO of the company, and compensation also has to be looked into. Now, we are now coming to the last part of our presentation, which is actually related to that how you should take up digital transformation in your organization. Again, I'm taking the telco example, but more or less in my view, with some nitty-gritty details level, it would be different, but at the broader level, at the framework level, it would be the same. In telcos, actually, there is a different mechanism than probably from a bank. In bank, there is an information technology department under CIO. But in telcos, there is a little complexity that there is a technology group, there is an IT group. So over there, and then there is a business. In a bank or others, it would be the business, and it would be the information technology. So in my view, I'll put this in two broad areas. One is the business process excellence, which will have further categories underneath, and then the governance aspect. In business process excellence, there are two further subdomains. One is the enterprise architecture, and the other is the benchmarking and the compliance. Benchmarking and compliance will give you an idea with regards to various frameworks in the industry, various other benchmarks which are there, where you can measure and gauge what you have achieved. Similarly, in the governance, there is an enterprise PMO, which has to be there, which will gel together all different jigsaw puzzle pieces, which are falling under the domain of process, people, and technology, and then quality, and then the risk. So let me move forward and explain a little further. In enterprise architecture, there would be a business architecture, there would be a data architecture, there would be application architecture, and technology architecture. In business architecture, it probably is the more complex architecture which has to be taken care of, and there are various different aspects of it which has to be taken care of. In a digital transformation, you have to transform your business processes. So there has to be a well thought out, cohesive business process re-engineering exercise, which has to be taken care of, which has to be taken as a first step towards achieving the digital transformation. Then if you are a large company, then it would be good that you implement a BPMS solution, which takes care of your future business processes, and you build a center of excellence. There is a small team, core team, which is responsible for managing these business processes, which actually interacts with the stakeholders, process champions, process owners, data owners, and putting them all together. So in process area, these are the three aspects which has to be taken care of in the business architecture. Then once you are doing a big transformation, surely there has to be the organization structure changes. And that would be done along with the business process changes. And then the capabilities which are needed in order to deliver that transformation, those has to be developed. This aspect has to be taken care of. then organization agility in the organization has to be there, and one of the ways which which are popular these days, not only in telcos but also in other industries as well, is the DevOps, continuous integration, continuous delivery. These are different concepts which are to be implemented in order to uh, turn around your organization into an agile organization. Similarly, the performance management and the KPIs are the other important aspects which has to be defined in the business architecture. With this business architecture, then you may take the data architecture, master data management, you build the data governance processes, and in telcos, TMForum has defined a information framework which is called SID. So you may comply to that. Similarly, other industries can comply to their information frameworks, data frameworks. Then in the application architecture, in telcos, Telecom Application Map is one of the popular frameworks, and you will define your digital transformation roadmap for the applications here. And similarly, then there would be a technology architecture, which you may take TOGAF as an example, or any other framework which is required. Similarly, you will define how you will benchmark your success, how you will measure, gauge. So in telcos, TMForum has some conformance matrices. There are some business matrices which they have defined. They have many catalyst programs from which you can take your benchmarking and compliance related requirements. There are many standards like 942, 3GPP, and many other industry initiatives. And there has to be process KPIs, measurement and reporting mechanism that you will achieve. If you will implement this process, you will achieve something. So you should be able to benchmark that, okay, you have achieved this one, you have lagging behind, or you have done your, you have achieved your target. Similarly, as I said, that gelling all different pieces of the organization together, people, technology, and processes, and various different departments, collaborating with each other and motivating them to actually work together and achieve the objective. There would be opposing forces, there would be politics. So this enterprise PMO is usually built under the CEO, who should be the executive sponsor for any digital transformation, and that has to be controlled from there so that everybody feels responsibility and they are asked for the performance. So EPMO is one of the important things which has to be built in order to achieve success. Similarly, within the quality, again, I would emphasize going for various standards and various frameworks which are there, which would actually help you achieve your goals. Like, for example, it could be 9001. From information security perspective, 27001, 27017 and 18. From the IT service management point of view, 20,000. So all these different, I would say that standards and frameworks are to be used. Similarly, for risk, you may develop your own risk management framework, or you may use some already existing frameworks. Now, this was my suggestion for a digital transformation business excellence framework. Now, why we are doing a digital transformation? For business. So at the end of the day, achieving business success and business excellence is the goal. So everything should be motivated towards that goal. Now, this is the last one, and hopefully I'll be able to kind of finish in next 2-3 minutes in a quick manner so that we are able to actually comply with the timings. Now, this is developed by me actually with my all this experience. This is a risk framework which is with regards to the digital transformation. In this, I have divided into 15 different domains, and there are 3 layers in this. One is a strategic layer, and then there is a technical layer, and then there is an implementation layer. What I've done is that I've grouped them in these layers, and I have put different domains. And then what I've done is that I have identified 100 plus risks with their mitigations, with best practices, and with my experience. And so this is what, in the nutshell, this framework is all about. It's not the risk process. Risk process would be as the risk process would be, but this is what a risk framework is, that how to define the risks, keeping in view various different aspects for digital transformation. This is not about the risk process. Risk process, everybody knows that what risk process is. Now, in strategic layer, I have put business and IT alignment. So in the digital transformation, you will have to see that what business priorities are and how would your digital transformation would be aligned with that. So this is the foremost thing which has to be taken care of in the beginning. Then there is transformation roadmap, budget, sponsors, and program management. I put all these in the strategic layer. Then in the technical layer, implementation approach, are you going to go phase-wise, or are you going to go big bang, or there would be a hybrid kind of approach? In certain areas, you will go, say for certain products, you will go for a big bang. For certain products, you will go phase-wise. So these kind of considerations has to be taken care of. Selection of the solution, digital solutions, selection of head of program and project managers, selection of the system integrator and vendor, transmission partner, organization change management, how you will take care of various stakeholders. All these things has to be carrying some kind of risks. So, so all these has to be kind of taken with due care, and various risks falling in these different domains has to be identified and has to be mitigated, and with best practices and with the lesson learned. Similarly, in the implementation, there would be infrastructure, uh, architecture. Are you going to go in the cloud or on premises? Your sizing has to be in line with what your business is all about, how many customers you have now, how many you are foreseeing. Similarly, design, development, rollouts, and data, vendor and SME resources, to be processes, and the project management. These are all at the implementation level. I've grouped them over here. Then what I've done is that further, I have identified risks in these areas, and I've reached over 100 up till now. And I'm now defining the mitigation for these. Some I've done, and for some I'm still working on. I think with this, I've come to end of my presentation. And now, Shahzad Saab, if there are any questions, we can take that.
So look at the chat window. Some people have some questions.
Chat. Okay. The first question is from Shams. Is this
telco framework implemented by on any of the local telco? I mean, exactly as a shown framework.
No, not really. Actually, this is what in bits and pieces I've implemented these things, but not as a whole. So this is what I have experienced over my professional life, but not yet. This has not been implemented in a telco, but bits and pieces, yes.
Do we have specific tools for digital transformation?
Specific tools for digital transformation? Not really. You will have to see what kind of transformation you are doing. For example, if you are talking about tools, the applications, if you're talking about those tools, or you're talking about the tools which will help in your digital transformation, I'll answer both actually. If you are talking about, say, you have to do a customer experience related transformation, in that case, you will certainly find out the tools in the market. What my methodology has been over the years is that there are industry analyst companies like Gartner, Forrester. So you start from that. It will give you an idea what tools you have. Then in the next stage, you will find out the possibilities where you are. If say you are in Saudi market, what are the tools and applications or related technologies which are available over here? So you will call those vendors. You will see what their capabilities are from various aspects. From tool point of view, you will be able to get a lot of information from the Gartner or Forrester that what are the capabilities, what are the shortcomings and the weaknesses. And then the other part is the implementation partner. So for that, you will have to further dig down in that particular market. Now, if this used to be my methodology. If you are talking about, say, a tool which will help, for example, if you have to, say, use a tool for your business process management, again, there are many tools available. If, say, you have to use some progress monitoring tool, there are many tools available. Again, you will have to look for, there are no generic ones for digital transformation.
Okay, sir. Who will define the KPIs, SLAs for the project? Is this from higher management or the major stakeholders? The board members also have knowledge of this?
Actually, in this case, what happens is that the broad level would come obviously from the board. That would be at the transformation program level. But if you are doing a project, then at that project level, there would be much lower level of kind of success and KPIs which has to be defined, which would not come from the board. Board will say, I want to increase the customer experience management, and the goal is to improve the net promoter score by 10. This would come from there. Then once it is implemented, they will see. Now, underneath, there would be objectives, there would be initiatives, there would be projects, There would be capabilities development initiatives which has to be taken. Over there, each and every initiative has to have its own kind of success criteria, the KPI, the timeline, and everything. So it has to be defined layer by layer.
Okay, sir. There are actually many questions, but if we go for all of them, maybe we'll have a lot of time more. So just one question. What security
we can do is
framework have you
that,
used in alignment with the TOGAF or TAM framework?
sorry, if you can repeat, please.
What security framework have you used in alignment with the TOGAF or TAM framework, specifically for the telcos? Any recommendations?
Actually, there is no specific for the telco. It's ISO 27001, which is usually used in my two previous working in the telcos, like in PTCL and in ITC, both were 27001 certified, and but there is no specific one for a telco.
Any certifications that can help for this kind of transformation experience? Any certification path?
Actually, if you talk about telco, then TMForum has some certifications, like they have business process framework related certification. They have many metrics. They have a digital transformation capability framework. So that can be helpful. And I'm also planning in future actually to actually carve out something like this. So maybe you can wait for maybe 6 months.
Okay, sir. Thanks a lot for your time. And gentlemen, thanks a lot for coming, attending the session today. If you have more questions, Mr. Ahsan is our member. You can contact him on his profile, or you can contact him via WhatsApp. So it's not a problem. We don't have to do everything in the session because it will be we have almost spent like 70 minutes now. So thanks a lot for coming.
I'm available, Shahzad Sahab. You can send all these questions to me, and they can approach me anytime. I'm available.
Ahsan Sahab, have you introduced about your company also? If you want, you can
not really.
take that few minutes to just tell about your company, and then we close the session.
Okay. Actually, what I've done in last about 2 years is that I've established, along with my other colleagues, Innovo Technologies. And this works in the digital commerce domain. And there are many other services which like IT audit and cybersecurity and IT advisory services which we provide. Our flagship product is an end-to-end digital commerce solution, which has product management, product catalog, product management, pricing, order management, and the delivery as well. Our major clients in Saudi Arabia are Bahrain Water, which is the top 3 brand, Ojan Water, and Asil Dates. We are working with one of the Saudi lady for a women care platform as well, which is kind of a beauty salon aggregation platform, just like Uber of taxis. Uber is for taxis. This would be Uber for the beauty salons. So you can approach us for any kind of software development. We also have ERP expertise. We have chosen ERP Next as one of our products to be deployed. ERP Next is an open source ERP, which is good for the small and medium enterprises at an affordable cost. So you can approach us if any of you need such kind of solutions. Even in Canada, or other parts of the world other than Saudi Arabia. We have a very good development center in Pakistan, which consists of around 15 developers, and we do all our services from there. Thank you very much for listening to me and asking these questions and being with me. Thank you.
Ahsan Saab, अगर किसी को कोई और question हुआ तो I will ask him to contact you. I will give. I can share your number, right?
Bilkul, you can, and they can contact me on my profile. You can send the remaining questions which are there probably to me. I can get back to you with my answers.
Yeah, but I will not
And-
know who asked it, so it's better to let them contact directly.
Okay.
But Syed, I don't
Fine.
know who is Syed here. I know Bhatti Saab, but I don't know who is Syed.
Okay, fine.
So, anyways, guys, thanks a lot. Apologies because I have to close the session, and you know, because of this situation these days, even I we have going through some problem, so I cannot spare much more time here. So thanks a lot, Ahsan bhai. Thanks a lot. Very
welcome.
really good session. It gave